starting. Trevor, hit us.
Greetings, football fans. This is the Backups Football Podcast. I'm Trevor, and I'm here with my buddies Ryan and Hunter.
Yes,
And
sir.
our last podcast, we brought you the offensive news as far as free agents. And there's been so much, we split it into two podcasts. Now we're going to do defense. We did a little bit of news with the last one, so we're just going to go straight into the defensive side this time. I think we're going to start with good old Robert Quinn. He's a defensive end. He was formerly with the Cowboys, but he has now gone to the Chicago Bears. A big 5 year, $7 million deal for him. Should be a really good edge alongside Khalil Mack, a clear upgrade over Leonard Floyd, and should be just a good player for them, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Aside from Khalil Mack, I feel like that defensive line is pretty underachieving. Robert Quinn, still at age 30, got paid quite a bit, 14 mil, but I think I think it's a good addition to that defensive line.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's very rare, especially in the NFL these days, that you find two elite pass rushers per team, and the Bears found a way to make that happen. So
Yep.
truly impressive on their end. I do think he probably got paid a little too much, but all in all, if it ends up panning out, then good for them.
Good.
All right, next we've got Dante Fowler Jr. He was a former outside linebacker edge guy from Los Angeles Rams, and he has gone to the Atlanta Falcons on a 3 year, $45 million deal. Decent value for Atlanta, I think. Clear upgrade over Vic Beasley. He's only 25 or 26. He's 26, actually. And I think he should really just upgrade that D line. That was second to last in sacks last season.
Yeah, I love that addition. Vic Beasley obviously underperformed the past however many years we've had him, honestly. So glad to see Dante Fowler coming, beefing up the line, and glad to see that addition for Atlanta.
I think that's a huge pickup for Atlanta. I think that gives them the potential to have a dominant edge rusher for the first time since Jonathan Abraham was released by them. All in all, I think it's an incredible pickup. So I like it.
Yeah. Next up, I think we have Mario Addison coming from Carolina, going to Buffalo, replacing Shaq Lawson, who went to Miami. They're getting paid just about the same amount, about 10 mil a year, looking at 3 years. So Mario Addison is a bit older than Shaq Lawson, but still, had to do some replacing either way. Mario Addison was pretty strong in Carolina, so like that addition for my Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, Mario Addison is a very solid pickup. I know a few people are concerned about the tread kind of wearing off on him, which, I mean, he's 32, so that could be an issue, but I think he'll be paired back up with Sean McDermott, who was his DC for a little while, and I think they'll figure out the best way to get the use out of him.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I just think it's a solid move for the Buffalo Bills. Kind of a decent loss for Carolina as well, so they might be looking maybe some edge depth in this draft possibly.
Yeah,
good pick for Miami as well.
Yeah, agreed. I know Miami was looking for edge rushers come this draft. Some mocks had them going edge with their third pick in the first round. So I think Shaq Lawson's a great pickup in this free agent offseason.
Yeah, Shaq Lawson's still young. I think this is an incredible pickup for Miami, who just needed help across the board. I still think they could go edge in the first round with one of the later picks, depending on how the board falls. But, all in all, it's still just filling holes that they have. So
yeah, for sure. Sure, you got anybody else for us?
I'm just going to highlight Jamie Collins real quick. He's kind of bounced between a couple teams of recent years. He was from New England last season. He's moved to Detroit to reunite with their head coach, who my mind is going blank right now.
Matt Patricia.
Thank you. Should be just a solid pickup for them. I don't think it's too much of a needle mover, but in general, just a decent pickup for their defense.
Yeah, definitely.
And then coming from our Atlanta Falcons, both Vic Beasley and Devondre Campbell We have Vic Beasley going to Tennessee 1 year on 9.5 mil. Devondre Campbell going to Arizona 1 year on 6 mil. Like you said, that defensive line was second to last in sacks this last season. But glad both of those guys found a home. Still to be signed, though, Jadeveon Clowney. He's asking for big money. Where do you think is a likely place for him to end up, or do you think he will be getting the type of money he's looking for? Boys.
I think if Clowney's going to get the type of money he wants, he's going to be going to a team that's nowhere near competing for a championship, kind of a team probably similar to the Jets. But I could also see Clowney doing a 1-year deal, kind of going somewhere to prove his worth, kind of like what he did in Seattle this year, and just finding somewhere that's going to fit for him. So I don't know. I'd like to see him go somewhere where he can shine. I was always a fan of him when he came out. So
big South Carolina guy.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think with Clowney, his pass rushing isn't ideal for the money he's wanting, but his run defense is one of the best in the league is at the edge position. I think the best spot for him would be to stay with Seattle. I think that's just a good fit, and Seattle's always in it to be in the NFC championship race. As far as getting money, I could see Miami maybe being interested. Indy possibly. Jets are a decent option as well. I think likelihood, though, he just goes back to Seattle and doesn't get near the money he was looking for.
Yeah, I think either way, Seattle's going to be looking for edges. As Ziggy Ansah, their other defensive end, is also a free agent this offseason. That's one of their top looks in the first round of this draft, I think, would be an edge rusher. So,
an under the radar pickup is Gerald McCoy to Dallas. He basically is going to step in there and be an immediate starter on that line. He had a very good year last year in Carolina, and before that he was very good in Tampa. I think he's going to be a nice addition to pair with DeMarcus Lawrence on a Dallas D-line that could use all the help it could get.
Yeah, for real. I mean, that Dallas defense really needs it. The D-line, I mean, everywhere on the Dallas defense, honestly, but
except linebacker.
Glad to see him. Except linebacker, yeah, strong as hell there. But the secondary and the line needs some help. So glad to see him get picked up. We can go
highlight one more guy.
Oh yeah, hit him. Yep.
I'm going to throw in Everson Griffin. He's been a really productive player from Minnesota. He's still out there. I think he's looking to get paid one more time, possibly. Maybe not like high-end money, but getting paid pretty decent money. So we'll see where he ends up. I think he'd be really good, either starter or a secondary piece on a solid team.
Yeah, really like him. Do you think he's getting up there in age?
What? How old is he right now?
32 or 33.
32.
Okay. So, yeah, that makes sense. But maybe one more sizable contract. Looking for somebody who's looking for an edge rusher out there.
And then one more name out there that'll be recognizable. Clay Matthews is a free agent. I think he'll go back to the Rams, although they're in cap space hell at the moment. So we'll see. But just a notable name. We'll see where he goes. I don't think he's been that crazy productive the last couple of years.
He had 9.5 sacks last year in 13 games. So I think the market value is going to be interesting for him. I would love him in Atlanta to play the strong side backer that we just lost in Devondre Campbell, but that also all comes down to money. So
for sure. I mean, hopefully with his age, he won't be asking too much, but yeah, that would be an interesting ad in Atlanta for sure. Filling that hole. Speaking of backers, there's quite a few inside linebackers that we haven't hit when we're talking about edges. Notably, I think personally, Kyle Van Noy, 29 years old. He's signing from New England, going to Miami for 4 years, $51 million. Big old boy contract.
Wow.
I think that's huge when it comes to players getting paid, especially from the inside linebacker position, filling the hole in that Miami defense too.
Yeah, kind of similar to the Jamie Collins to Detroit pickup. It's a Patriots guy going to a Patriots coordinator turned head coach team. Um, so Brian Flores gets a guy that was one of his top backers a couple years ago when he was, the linebackers coach there. And I don't know, it's just an upgrade over once again what they have because they have no talent in Miami. So
should be a good move for Miami too. Just get an in division guy moving over to your squad that needs a lot of help. The roster's not the best, so and then Kyle Van Noy gets paid as well, so it's a win-win for both of those teams.
Mm-hmm. Another linebacking pickup is Joe Schobert from Cleveland to Jacksonville to add to that stacked linebacking core with Myles Jack.
Yeah, another big old boy contract, getting paid well over $10 million a year. He's still young, big talent coming out of Cleveland, going to Jacksonville. Lining up against Myles Jack, that's going to be scary for that AFC South. I'm excited to see it come the season. Rona forbid, hopefully. And speaking of backers, still Corey Littleton from the Rams to the Las Vegas Raiders. Another big boy contract, almost $12 million for 3 years, $35 million, and going from the Rams defense over to the AFC West, playing against Pat Mahomes twice a year. Who knows what'll happen? But do love Littleton's talent. I think he's a good fit. He'll have to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is a huge hole created by the Rams. Littleton was one of their most reliable pieces last year on defense, and was one of the best pass coverage linebackers in the league. So I think that's just a huge hole for them, and I'm curious to see what the Rams are going to do this offseason with all these players leaving and all these holes opening up while they're not able to fit.
I completely agree. Linebacker was already a little bit of a weak spot outside of Littleton and Dante Fowler. So we'll see what that defense looks like next year.
And the Rams are without a first-round pick. Is that right?
It was for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, I think that it's likely that those two top linebackers that we talked about in mock drafts before, Kenneth Murray, Patrick Queen, I think it's likely they get picked first round. So that makes me a little nervous for the Rams. Of course, there's some pretty decent tier 2 linebackers, and they could always look in free agency, but a lot of the big guys have been signed. So, and they are in cap space hell, like you said earlier. So they're kind of in a rough spot on that defense, I think.
Also, go ahead.
I was just going to say on the Rams for a second. I think all in all, they still have talent to be competitive, but they're not going to have that defense that they've had the past few years, especially when they made that Super Bowl run.
For sure.
I low-key love this for the Raiders because linebacker's been a weak spot for them. Like last year, they went into the year with freaking Vontaze Burfict on their roster, so that tells you how bad they're hurting. So I think this should be a really good pickup for the Raiders, and maybe they can look at linebacker later in the draft if they do go that route.
Yeah, agreed. Hunter, do you want to hit cornerbacks for us?
Of course, I would love to. So the big one is obviously Byron Jones going from America's team to the Miami Dolphins. He got paid huge money. I think it was 5-year, $82.5 million deal. Yeah, I know a lot of Dallas fans would have loved to keep him in Dallas, but financially speaking, you could have either paid him or Amari, and they chose to pay Amari. So I think it's a nice pickup, gives them a nice bump and run corner to play that scheme opposite of Xavier Howard. So.
Yeah, just another hole to fill on Miami's defense, which coming into this offseason with this free agent market, it was just about everybody. It was real rough on that defense, but they've actually done, I'd say, a pretty good job of filling holes when it came to edge, when it came to linebacker, when it came to the secondary. They still have a lot to go, but they do still have 3 first-round picks. So I love that pickup from Miami.
Just to piggyback off that, Byron Jones, I think it was a great pickup for Miami. Huge loss for Dallas. That's a big hole for them now. We can maybe see them go maybe C.J. Henderson or Christian Fulton, maybe early first round, just because that's just a big hole. Miami, they lost Minka Fitzpatrick. Well, they didn't lose him. They traded him, Minka Fitzpatrick. So their secondary's been pretty rough. So overall, just a really good pickup for them. Even though they paid him a good bit of money, that should be worth the value for the lack of talent on their roster currently.
Yeah, I'd agree.
For sure.
Yeah, and we have those. We have the two kind of second tier behind Byron Jones. Both James Bradbury and Trey Waynes got paid around $14 million this offseason. James Bradbury going from Carolina to the New York Giants, and Trey Waynes from Minnesota to Cincinnati. Minnesota now without corners. I think they lost both Trey Wayne, or they lost Trey Waynes, and Xavier Rhodes for sure isn't on that roster anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's likely they go cornerback first round. How do you like those pickups?
I really like the Trey Waynes pickup to Cincy. I think he was a very underrated piece in their lineup. I don't really love the James Bradbury pickup. I think he got overpaid. But all in all, that's just how the market works. Guys typically do get overpaid. I think he's going to be good for the Giants, but I don't think he's worth the $14.5 million that he got every year.
Yeah, Bradbury did get overpaid for the Giants, but if you look at their secondary from this last year, their first-round pick, DeAndre Baker, did not play well, especially early. So this should give a little bit more depth at that position. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite him with the amount of money they're paying him. Trey Waynes, kind of a big loss for Minnesota at this point. I mean, all their corners are leaving. Decent pickup for Cincy. I mean, that defense needs a lot of help, and I think overall should be pretty good for them.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Desmond Trufant to Detroit, coming out of Atlanta. We love to hate on him in Atlanta. I'll tell you that. Desmond Trufant was an overpaid and overrated cornerback, I'd say, in the free agent offseason. And damn, I mean, he got paid $10 million, $14 million guaranteed by Detroit. I'm sure that the Atlanta fans in the room are happy to have him gone. But good for him for getting paid.
As a Falcons fan, he wasn't worth what we were paying him, but it also scares me from the amount of depth on our roster is not that great. We're relying on a lot of young guys who are unproven. Trufant, I'm just going to go ahead, and you're not going to listen to this, but thank you for your time in Atlanta. You were a lot of fun to watch. Wish you the best of luck in Detroit, buddy.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way about Trufant. I wish we would have kept him, personally. Granted, I know cap-wise we would have not been able to sign Gurley or Dante Fowler. But it does leave a gaping hole at cornerback. I do think he's going to succeed in Detroit, and I think that's a very good pickup for them because they were shopping Darius Slay, and it gives them the immediate replacement for Darius Slay. He's not quite as good as Darius Slay, but, he's still there. Speaking of Darius Slay, homeboy got traded. Cato, you want to hit on that one?
If I can remember where he got traded to, that's for sure.
He got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles
to the Philadelphia Eagles.
For a third round, I believe.
Something like that. We should have told him the 49ers or something.
Yeah, you could have screwed me there. Darius Slay to Philadelphia is big. I swear, I don't know what it is with the NFC East and having weak ass teams with weak ass defenses, but it happens, man. And I'm glad that Philadelphia got a little bit of something in that secondary to beef it up a little bit. For a third round pick, that's not too bad for Darius Slay. I think Darius Slay, personally, I think he's underrated. I'm a big fan of Darius Slay and his work. And so I think that they got good value on him.
I don't know if we mentioned the contract, but it was a 3-year, $50 million deal with $30 million guaranteed. So that's a lot of money. Sure. I'm not sure how old he is, but he should be a good player for Dallas. I mean, you got to play Amari Cooper twice a year. Freaking Redskins got Scary Terry going on right now. Giants, well, those Giants.
Giants, we'll see.
I think it's overall good pick. I think it's a downgrade for Detroit going from Darius Slay to Desmond Trufant, to be honest.
Agreed.
But it's also you're not paying him nearly as much as you would have to pay Darius Slay. So kind of a win-win, but kind of more of a loss for me for the Lions. Darius Slay should fit in well with the Eagles, in my opinion.
I know Darius Slay wanted out, so I think it was a good idea just to cash in for him while he could. And Desmond Trufant was in good enough replacement on the market. So
I'll see that.
Agreed. Some other names to hit on, just real quick. Eli Apple going from New Orleans to the Las Vegas Raiders, just a 1 year, $6 million deal. He's only 25, but was kind of getting burned in the NFC South.
I don't know how he keeps getting paid. He's garbage.
Me neither.
First round bust.
We could watch him get burned every single week. We were watching the NFC South quite a bit. Josh Norman coming from Washington going to Buffalo, replacing Kevin Johnson on that secondary, going to be opposite Tre'Davious White. I don't love, never loved Josh Norman's attitude, but maybe under a tighter regime in Buffalo, he's more of the cornerback too. He's getting a little older. Maybe that'll be a good pickup just to beef up the secondary a little bit, put him opposite of one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Mm-hmm. Another one is Chris Harris going from the Denver Broncos to the Chargers. He's staying in Division II. He's most people consider him a top 5 corner in the league who's getting up there in age. I think all in all, it's a very nice pickup for them and could be a game changer for their push for Super Bowl and Anthony Lynn.
Yeah, I love this move for Chris Harris because, one, he got paid, and the Chargers get to beef up that defense even more. Get Derwin James back healthy, add him to it. Should be pretty solid defense. Big loss for Denver. I'm not sure if they picked up anybody. I cannot remember. But that might be a big hole for them going to the draft this season as well.
Yeah, I think that's been a big need anyway, is corner coming into this draft. So I think it's really likely we see a corner pick, if not first round, then for sure second round.
Yeah, there might be a run on them early.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you've got 2 or 3 corners that are worth picking first round, and if we get like 2 or 3 picks before Denver comes up, they'll be likely to fill wide receiver hole or something like that. Trevor, you have a list of corners still on the market?
Here, let me add in one more. AJ Boye
for sure.
got acquired via trade. He went to he went to Denver. That's where he went. That's where it was.
Yeah.
So he's replacing Chris Harris Jr. I believe this is a downgrade. I'm not sure what he's being paid, but in Jacksonville, I think he struggled running with their other team's number 1 wide receivers, from what I remember. So I think he might struggle a little bit going up against number 1s. But we'll see how it goes. I do think it's a downgrade, though.
Yeah, definitely. Let me hit on one more last one before we move on to the guys that haven't been picked up. Pierre Desser, he got cut by the Colts and got signed by the Jets. He was PFF's number 18 ranked corner last year. So I didn't watch a ton. I haven't seen a lot of film on him, but I think that could potentially be an under the radar signing for the Jets. So,
yeah, I'd agree.
All right, you all need to safeties?
Yeah, well, still on the market.
Oh, my bad.
We've got a few people at corner. Xavier Rhodes out of Minnesota. He's awful. I really think he's not very good. But damn it, he's still on the market, and I have a feeling that a desperate team will pay him at least something. I think that's really likely. Some more recognizable
names. Being that team, to be honest.
I hope not, man. For your sake, Xavier Rhodes kind of got burned a lot last year.
He kind of sucked last year. Was the problem?
But yeah, but the Falcons could get desperate come season time. Aqib Talib, 34 years old, coming out of Miami, still on the free agent market. Same thing with Prince Amakamura, coming out of Chicago, 31 years old, still on the market. They're both getting a little up there, but could still get one more big-ish contract coming into this free agent market.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say I've been kind of rough on good old Xavier Rhodes. He didn't have a very good season. But as a Falcons fan, with our depth right now, I don't think I would be too against him coming here for the right amount of money. I think he just had maybe just a couple of nagging injuries and maybe just needs a bounce back year, maybe like a 1-year prove it deal.
Nice
I
little
don't think
change
I'd
of
be too
scenery.
against. Yeah, I don't think it'd be too bad. I think he's still got some tread on the tires.
And there's one more big trade that we need to hit on, and that was Quentin Dunbar being traded from the Redskins to Seattle. This is a very under the radar type move. It was for a 5th-round pick. Quentin Dunbar was PFF's number 2 ranked corner last year. He only started 11 games for the Skins last year, but I do remember that when he was on the field, it did make a difference in that second half of the season. So I'm surprised they dealt him for a 5th.
Yeah, a 5th-round pick is very undervalued for Dunbar. Great pickup there.
Nice piece of shrewd business for
sure.
Seattle.
For sure. Trevor, you said you got safeties?
Yeah, let's move on to safeties. Let me pull this up real quick.
Sure.
The big one was Malcolm Jenkins being cut from Philadelphia and re-signing to go back to New Orleans. Malcolm Jenkins was a leader for the Philadelphia back end of their defense, and he got paid 4 years, $32 million from the Saints.
$8 million a year, yeah, for sure.
But he's also 32, so there are some age concerns. But he does bring a nice locker room guy, and is just a pretty solid player for that Saints defense.
Yeah, I've heard good things about his leadership. Glad he's not for Falcons fans, but glad for New Orleans and glad for him that he got paid. He's a good guy.
I'll touch on Clinton Dix, just because I like his name. It's funny to me. He went from Chicago to Dallas on a 1-year, $4 million deal. I don't think he's that great, but for 1 year, $4 million, I mean, he should be just a good, solid piece in the back of their secondary.
Yeah. Another low-end deal. DJ Swearinger resigns with New Orleans for just 1 year, $1.1 million. He's only 29 years old, but clearly they don't see much value in him. But they're bringing him back, so
he's a nice depth safety to have. I watched him a lot at South Carolina. Dude's an absolute thumper. Coverage skills are a little lackluster, but if you need a guy to just go out there and hit somebody and kind of be an in-the-box safety, DJ Swearinger is your guy.
Just touch on one more name, Eric Reed, who's known for being a problem. He was in Carolina and he got cut this week, I believe, so we'll see if he actually gets picked up. This might be a big deal with the media, so we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, he's still to be signed. I have a feeling that somebody will take a chance on him, even if it's for just a year deal. Mm-hmm. Although he is quite the attitude problem sometimes.
Definitely. And under the radar signing I like is Jeff Heath going from Dallas to the Rams to replace Vegas, Raiders. Wow, I thought that was Rams. Never mind. Could have sworn I read that he was going to the Rams. That's the Raiders. But either way, nice pickup. Dallas lost just another piece of their defense. So nice pickup for potentially cheap for the Raiders.
And weakens the secondary again. But yeah, the Raiders did pay very little, only $3 million a year, so it was a good pickup. Yeah, overall an insane free agent. Like the last couple weeks have been absolutely wild when it comes to trades, free agents, etc. And I can't imagine. I mean, with all the people we talked about still on the board, I can't imagine that it's going to slow down any. Although it has over the past couple of days, but we still have plenty of signings to go. So,
oh yeah, for sure,
it's been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun.
I think we're going to see a lot of these guys get picked up post draft as like guys that missed out on their guy in the draft. And I think the free agency talent's going to pick back up right after the draft, and that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, Absolutely. And I know we're headed to a mock draft soon, and we'll probably talk more about that. But for now, this has been our defensive free agent extravaganza. I'm Ryan. This is Hunter
Hunter.
and Trevor.
Follow
Trevor,
us
you
on
can say your
Twitter.
name too. Yeah, follow us on Twitter at the Backups Cast. We're going to be putting these, at least the Skype calls. I'm probably going to upload the audios from the first 2 episodes as well to YouTube. But hit us on Apple Podcasts as well at the Backups.
Tell your
And it's been a
friends, tell
pleasure.
your parents, tell your mom specifically.
Tell your mom, please. We want moms to listen. So
A little
thank you.
weird. We just want football fans to listen, please.
And
We just need
good night.
fans in general. That's it.